hope you can relax with me today and just kind of vibe in the holiday-ness of this video. I don't really know what I'm saying anymore. Hi.
Hi.
Oh. Look what you made me do. You're so funny. Did you just bring that in for fun? Okay. Hello friends. I am here because I have finished. Well, I threw it, so maybe I won't tell you. It's been raining for like 2 weeks straight. It's so nice to see the sun again. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with some cozy Christmas/holiday reading. So this video is going to be kind of one that I've done for a couple of years, I think, at this point, which is just to get a little cozy, get a little Christmassy. I believe this one's going to be coming out on Christmas Eve, so happy Christmas Eve, friends, if you're watching this on the day it came out. I hope you guys are having a fantastic holiday season, but I thought I would talk about some kind of holiday/Christmas books that I am hoping to get to this year. There's so many on my TBR this year, but for this video specifically, I think I'm going to focus on 3. It was going to be 2, but I technically started one last night, and it's a novella, so I might as well just stick it in real quick. I've got others I can add on to it, but these are my goals for this video, and we're going to do all of the fun, cozy Christmas vibes. I'm going to have all the tea, all the coffee. We have some apple cider that I might be doing. I've got some fun holiday candles, and there is some holiday baking of sorts. It's not baking. I do this every year. It's not baking, but it is holiday sweet making. So I will be putting things together, but I'm not actually putting anything in the oven. So I get to do that. I have Friday off this week, so I'll probably do that on Friday. So I need to go get the ingredients and stuff. But the books that I am going to be reading in this vlog, the first one, again, like I said, is a novella I've already started, and that is A Wallflower Christmas by Lisa Kleypas. This is a 4.5 in the series. It's the novella that comes after all 4 of them, and it's obviously based on Christmas. So the Wallflower series is one that I've talked a lot about on this channel because I've read almost all of them and I do really enjoy them. But it basically follows these 4 friends who are wallflowers, and instead of trying to compete with each other to get the husband, they become friends and help each other out. And so each book in the series, there's 4 full-length novels. Each book follows a different romance, and so this takes place after all of them. And in this group we have 2 girls who come from America, and their parents are super wealthy, but no one in America really is looking at them as potential suitors. But in England they could get a title if they marry someone, and that someone would get all of their money. So it's a win-win if they marry an English lord. And so they come over to England, and so this book follows their oldest brother, Rafe, and he is kind of, from what I can tell so far, he's very much supposed to be a rake, but actually he's been hurt when he was younger because he's the oldest son. So he's the one that their father put all the pressure on and didn't really have anyone to hang out with, because the 2 girls had each other, and then there were 2 other brothers as well. This is a family of 5, and the other brothers were close in age, and so they had each other as well, and Rafe was the oldest and just kind of went off on his own. And so he has started his own company. He's incredibly rich, and his parents want him to marry this woman named Natalie, who is the daughter of a lord and lady. And so he comes to the Christmas ball that one of the sisters, Lillian, is throwing, and basically is there to meet Natalie and try to convince her that he is the one to marry. From where I'm at, they meet her it's not lady in waiting, her companion, her cousin, who's a little bit older than her, is her companion, and she comes from no money and no title or anything like that. And I have a feeling, now that I've read 50 pages or so, I'm in chapter 6 right now, I think there's 14, so I'm about 25% of the way through. He's had some moments with the lady in waiting, and it doesn't say anything about that on the back. So I assumed it was a romance between him and Natalie, but now I'm thinking it's actually a romance between him and this cousin instead. But I'm loving it so far. I'm probably going to finish this one today. I started it last night, and I do have the audiobook of it, but I am reading along. But because it's a novella, it's like super short. It does say it's about 200 pages, but like it's mass market pages, so it's much smaller. So that one is the first kind of Christmassy read of the season. But the two books that I really want to focus on in this vlog is The Matzo Ball. The first one's The Matzo Ball by Jean Meltzer. This is the one that I want to read next. This is a Hanukkah romance. And it follows our main character, Rachel, who has, it says right here, is a nice Jewish girl but has a shameful secret. She loves Christmas. And so she's a romance novelist who writes Christmas romance stories. And she gets asked by her editor, I believe, to write a Hanukkah story instead. And she's like, Hanukkah is not magical. How am I supposed to write a Hanukkah romance? And so she goes to this thing called the Matzo Ball and meets her. It's a Jewish music celebration on the last night of Hanukkah. And she goes there hoping that she's going to be like inspired, because she doesn't want to let her editor down. She doesn't want to risk her contract to keep writing. So she's going to write this romance, but she has no ideas. And so she goes to this ball and runs into her like summer camp arch enemy named Jacob Greenberg. And I think he starts to help her out. It's an enemies to lovers romance of sorts. It says right here, it's the Hanukkah event of the season and the feud of the century. So I've had my eye on this one for a while. It came out last year. Everyone loved it. So I'm excited about that one. And then the other one I want to focus on is one that I got in that kind of special Christmas edition box that I did from Unplugged last year. If you're curious, I'll leave the unboxing there. But I got two books in that one, and one of those is The Christmas Escape, and this is by Sarah Morgan. This gives me wintry, cozy Christmas vibes. Like, can you just see how cute this is from the cover? It's giving me all the Hallmark vibes. I've never read anything by this author, but I've heard good things. So this book follows our main character, Alex, who is supposed to be going to, it's called the Lapland, which I'm not actually sure where that is, but I'm assuming it's somewhere nice and snowy. And she's supposed to be going there with her best friend's husband, and their daughter. And a last minute issue arises in their marriage, and so her best friend basically says, please, can you take our daughter and just go to the Lapland? I really need some alone time with my husband. I want to figure some stuff out, and I will reunite with you on Christmas Day. And so Alice is like, sure, okay. And so she gets there, and it seems like I don't know, it sounds like there might be more to this marriage issue, and also she's having feelings of sorts for a guy named Zach, who's a fellow guest and a nemesis from her past. So I don't really know what we're getting into. There's a kid involved, even though it's not her kid. A kid involved is always interesting. It's giving me all the Hallmark vibes, like I said. So I really, really want to get to this one. The other book I got in that box is on my TBR as well, but out of the two, this is the one that I'm leaning more towards this year. So these are my two main focuses for this video. All the cozy vibes. I wanted to read something that wasn't Christmassy, especially a romance that I heard great things about, but I love Christmas romances. And I have, like I said, many other books to read as well. So I have lots of options if I have more time. But that is my thoughts right now. I'll come back to you, I guess, when I finish that one. And I don't really know what this video is going to turn into, but I hope it's fun and cozy. I hope you can relax with me today and just kind of vibe in the holiday-ness of this video. I don't really know what I'm saying anymore, but I hope you enjoy what this video turns into. So grab a nice warm drink, snuggle down, and let's get to some holiday reading. I am here because we have finished a couple of things and I wanted to talk to you about that. So, as you saw, like the first day I think I started this vlog, I finished A Wallflower Christmas by Lisa Kleypas. Either that day or the next day. I ended up giving this one 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. You kind of do need, I know this comes last in the series, but you do really need those books to really set up this book, only because the wallflowers play such a big part in the romance within here, as far as like being kind of like the puppet masters behind the scenes of making things happen. And you just kind of are like, okay, these women are helping this couple out. Like, you don't really feel connected to them without having that backstory to them. What I loved about this book was that we got to see all of the wallflowers again, because all 4 show up, and we got to see their respective like husbands and a little like sneak peek into their happily ever after. And we get that over the course of the books a little bit, with each book following one girl's perspective specifically. It's harder to like really dive into their romances, so it was really fun to see them again. I loved the romance in here between Rafe and Hannah. It was what I thought it was going to be. It basically turned into like, I thought it was going to be one person, and then right away I realized it was not her, it was somebody else who was going to be the female love interest, and I really liked them. I felt like this was relatively believable. I mean, you kind of have to go in, it is a novella, it's super, super short. You have to go in knowing that the romance aspects are going to feel a little bit rushed, but even with that, like even when I took that lens off, as far as like, you know, going in with a little bit of disbelief, it worked so well. Like the romance felt like it made sense. It did feel rushed, but they felt attraction from like the get-go, so it didn't feel like, oh, they hate each other, oh, now they love each other. It wasn't like hate to love, it was more like they felt attracted immediately, which made more sense to me. And it was just really fun. It was fun. It was nice to see like the Christmas aspects of it, because you have Americans in Britain, and like in America, the holiday of Christmas and like not the holiday of Christmas, but like having a tree and decorating a Christmas tree is still new to British families. It's pretty common in America. And so the fact that they have this tree is really fun, because a lot of people are like, oh, we don't know this tradition, what is this about? And so you have just like the Christmas like decorating like the family, and it was really cute to see like the group as like a group, and have like these characters added in to their already existing kind of family. It was just really, really sweet, and I loved that about it. So I was really glad that I read this. Like I said, I gave it 5 stars, so that was fantastic. And then today I finished The Matzo Ball by Jean Meltzer. This one, I don't know if you could tell, but like I started reading this one, was it yesterday or the day before? I can't remember, but like I'd only read a little bit. I was diving in, I was slowly making my way through, and then last night I plowed through this. I stayed up way too late last night reading is what happened, and I read like the middle chunk of this book in one sitting. I adored this book. I want to read more things by Jean Meltzer. I know that there is a book that she has written. Had a book that came out this year called Mr. Perfect on Paper, and then there is a new one that's coming out in 2023, so I want to get my hands on those because I just really enjoyed this one. What I found fascinating about this is I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anything going into this one, and now having read more about the author, I understand. Jean herself has a chronic illness and had to basically like figure out what she wanted to do with life, and ended up writing, and that's how she, you know, earned a living. And so our main character in this book has a chronic illness. I can't remember what it is, like the actual terminology. It's ME, it's chronic fatigue syndrome, but I can't remember like the actual medical term for it. But she has ME, and she doesn't want anyone to know. Like, she kind of hides it because she doesn't want people to think badly of her, and she doesn't want people to look at her differently because it's one of those kind of hidden chronic illnesses. Her father is like the rabbi of the rabbis. Like, he is very prominent in the Jewish community, and so her mom is, you know, the rabbi's wife and is doing all these great things, and she being the rabbi's daughter, she has a very specific way that she presents. And so they found out that she had ME, like when she was in college, I think, right before college, somewhere in there. And so she ended up going to college for creative writing and like has basically figured out a way that she can write for a living where she can do it at her own pace. She can have multiple days where she can rest to gear up if she's got meetings in person, because like her editor doesn't even know that she has a chronic illness, and she doesn't want anyone to know. Like her best friend knows and her family knows, and that's really about it. So having her have this conversation with our main character Jacob, and they strike up a bargain because she wants a ticket to the matzo ball. I kind of explained what this book was about when I first talked about it, but she wants a ticket to the matzo ball because she thinks that she can go to this ball and she'll be able to get like the inspiration she needs to write a Jewish Hanukkah romance. And she's convinced that this is the way, and there's no tickets available, but Jacob says that he can get her a ticket if she volunteers. So she has to volunteer for the entire week, and it's like standing on your feet all day, every day, for 40 hours a week, and like her body doesn't like that. And so like after 2 days it like kaputs on her and she has to like figure out how to do some stuff, but like she won't tell him that like she is unable to stand for 9 hours a day or whatever it is. So like it's just, this reminds me a lot of like Emily Henry or the Beth O'Leary book I read, where it's like you have all of the fun, cozy, bubbly romance vibes to it. It's got all of the, what you expect, the ups and the downs of a romance, but it's set around Hanukkah, and it's set, and they talk about such very deep conversations. So there are trigger warnings for this book. We have death of parent, so be wary of that. If you are triggered by talks of chronic illness and I don't know, some of the deeper conversations, because she's not the only one. There is another character in this book that has MS. And so that's a conversation throughout the entire book. So if you're triggered by those kinds of things, just be wary. And then there is conversations that surround suicide. They're more like themes rather than like actual things on the paper. So just be wary of that. But it got really real really fast. These are two such imperfect people, and I loved seeing them come together and be this adorable couple. I could see myself rereading this one, honestly, because I just dove in head first, and like the writing of this story had me hooked within pages. Like I was invested so quickly, and it was just so good. It was so good. I don't know, I'm sounding like I'm surprised. I expected to like it. I just didn't expect to like it to the extent that I'm liking it. So great. This book was great. I highly recommend if you want a nice holiday romance. This one does talk about Christmas, but because our main character is Jewish and she comes from a Jewish family, Hanukkah obviously is much more prevalent in this one. But it does have all of those fun, festive holiday vibes that you love. This felt like a Hallmark movie, honestly. Like I could see this being turned into a Hallmark movie, and I love every second of it. So yeah, I don't know if I told you, but this got 5 stars if it wasn't very obvious by everything that I'm saying. So that's I've done it. I finished 2 of the books so far, which means that now we're going to start The Christmas Escape by Sarah Morgan. And as I was flipping through, I was just kind of noticing that the chapters have like names, so it switches back and forth from people's perspectives, and it actually switches back and forth between our main character Alex and her best friend, the mom, who ends up staying with her husband to work some stuff out. So I thought we were just going to get Alex's story primarily, and then her best friend's name is Chrissy, and she is going to be kind of like a side character. I'm gonna learn, like, she was just kind of there to move the plot along. But now that I'm flipping through it, it goes back and forth. Each chapter is either Alex or Christy. So she's going to be a much bigger part of the plot than I thought she was going to be, and I'm very excited about that. So I'm going to dive into this one sometime tonight. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm not working tomorrow, so we're going to go to like the Target probably and get some of the things that I need, the ingredients I need, because I really want to make our holiday treat that we always do, which is Buckeyes. I know I talk about it every year and on almost every single vlog that I do for Christmas coziness. I make them, but I will probably listen to this while I do that. But that'll be tomorrow, and then that's my grand plan. So we'll see if I feel like I can squeeze in. There's one more book that I really wanted to squeeze in into this vlog, so we'll see how quickly I finish this one, and then maybe I can squeeze that one in as well before the vlog's over. I don't know. expected this to take much longer to get through, but I flew through Matzo Ball. So I'm really excited to dive into this one. This one is the one out of all of the books that I have for Christmas that I was the most excited about, besides Matzo Ball. That one I feel like was very obvious. Those two. So yeah, I'm excited. Let's dive in. It's going to be all Hallmarky all the time, and I am so ready for it. I have officially finished The Christmas Escape by Sarah Morgan, and I am here to tell you my thoughts / wrap up this video because we made it to the end. I finished this Monday. Today is currently Wednesday, so I finished it on Monday, and honestly I thought I was going to get through a lot more reading this weekend than I did. I didn't pick this book up really once. I read a couple of chapters, I think at the end of last week, and then there was nothing about this that like drew my attention. Let me start by saying I ended up giving this book 4 stars. I did really end up enjoying it. The first couple of chapters, there was nothing that grabbed my attention. I felt like I couldn't really care about the characters, but we're only like 25 pages into the story, so like I knew that I couldn't trust my thoughts at that point because there wasn't really anything for me to have thoughts on yet. But by the end of this book, it was absolutely beautiful. Having read it, it definitely is more of a contemporary than it is a romance. Now, romance is definitely a part of it because, like, they do talk a lot about, like, the relationships and stuff, but this book is honestly primarily focuses on our main two female leads, Christy and Alex, and their friendship. And while other things come with that, there is romances on both of their sides. One is kind of like reconnecting with her husband. One is kind of discovering how she has some trust issues with her parents and like past relationships and stuff. So she never feels like she can be really in a relationship and give someone her heart because she's afraid of being hurt. And so she's kind of learning to do that a little bit. So you do have these two women who are dealing with their respective relationships, let's say, but at the same time, they're both kind of talking about issues and like looking at relationships, especially their biggest female friendship that has been struggling for a while. I mean, neither of them have really admitted it, but like ever since Christy got married, which was 5 years ago, there's kind of been this like question mark of like things have changed. What does this mean? And so there's a lot of really good conversation, especially near the end of the book, where they kind of talk about friendship. Now it's all set around Christmas. They're all doing kind of reconnecting with family. They're going to this like spa. It's not really a spa. It's more like a cabin in the woods kind of rustic vibe. That's kind of the like, I don't remember what you would call it, but like it's basically like you would rent a cabin in the woods in the snow and like hang out there, and a family member of Christie's owns that. And so it's about like reconnecting with family and figuring out what family means and like those female friendships. And honestly, the biggest thing that comes out of this is communication and communicating with your friends and your family and your husband and like all those kinds of your partner and stuff like that. And so honestly, it was just really beautiful. And by the end of it, I had all the emotions. I had laughed, I had cried, I had felt things. I had a deeper understanding of like relationships, especially adult relationships, and it was just really cool because like you go walk into a book like this and you expect it to be just a fun, fluffy, cozy holiday romance where like by the end everything's hunky-dory and like people have solved their problems. And while yes, you do have all those feelings, it's way more than that. There's just a lot of extra layers within this book, and I was pleasantly surprised because I usually don't tend to lean toward things like that. I want the fluffy romance. I want those types of feelings rather than like let me think about things feelings. But this is definitely one of those let's think about it, but it still has those cozy vibes of like a Christmas story. That's kind of what you want at this time of year. So I was very pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really, really good. And I'm happy that I ended up reading it and I got it in the box last year. It's definitely perfect for Christmas and winter because they basically spend 95% of this book at this cabin in the snow, and like you're cold while you're reading it. Like I was reading about them going out into the snow and like in sleds that were pulled by huskies and like building snowmen and being in like a cabin and like all of those fun things. I talk about the Aurora Borealis a lot, and so like you just kind of feel cold and cozy while you're reading it. It's just kind of fun. So if you want the vibes of like a Christmas book, but you want a lot more substance to it, this is a very interesting story and I really enjoyed my time reading it. So like I said, I gave that one 4 stars. So that concludes this vlog. I hope you enjoyed all the cozy Christmas vibes that I tried to like put into this. I ended up having a pretty good reading month. I mean, or like for the vlog at least, I read 3, and I think the lowest I rated anything was a 4. So actually I think everything I gave, no, I had 2 4s and a 5. So I may have discovered a new holiday favorite, a new favorite author in the matzo ball, and read some stuff that I didn't expect and really enjoyed it. So overall, at least on my side, this was a very enjoyable time. So I hope that you guys enjoyed as well. So I think that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed all of the fun, cozy vibes. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned as always, or if there is a Christmas or holiday book that you recommend. I would love to continue to add to my holiday collection. If you didn't see my last video, it was my entire collection, and let's be honest, it could do with some growing. It could always do with some growing. But I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there as well as other fun bookish links, so remember to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!